Morning, good evening, good afternoon. Tonight, I wanted just to discuss shortly um, about this young lady, or rather late young lady, Moreblessing Ali. She was murdered in one of the most brutal murders in Zimbabwe's history about over 2 years ago now, and she was an opposition activist, triple C activist. And she was adopted by what many believed was PF operatives in Chitungwiza. They killed her, cut up her body into parts, put them in a bag, and threw them down a well. It took weeks before the truth was finally found out. And for a long time, the regime would not release the body for burial. And they finally did. And the family said they were not going to bury her until the lawyer, the family lawyer, Job Scala, was released from prison. Job Scala was the MP for the area at the time, and he's a lawyer. And he had spoken at one of her funeral works, calling for the authorities to deal with those responsible for this heinous murder. And for that, he was arrested and sent to Chikurubi maximum security prison in Zimbabwe, in Harare. And he languished there for nearly 2 years and was released only a few weeks ago. And the family has finally decided that they will bury Moreblessing Ali now that he has been released. And today, Saturday, the 2nd of March, 2024, was the day she was to be buried. At the time when Job Scala was arrested, he was a member, an elected MP actually for Triple C, the party led by Nelson Chamisa. But while he was in prison, events have moved on. And the two have since diverted their paths, the political paths, for whatever reason. And when the funeral was arranged, Triple C, which has now, since Chamisa resigned from the party, has become the blue train, the blue bus, that is supposed to be the color of the new party, but the party has not been launched yet. And the rivalry between this blue bus and Job Scala has escalated to the point where there seems to be a tussle of who was to be involved at the funeral. The family of Moreblessing Ali had already invited Job Sikala to officiate at the funeral. But it looks like Chamisa's supporters took exception to that. They wanted to be the one officiating. And so there were ugly scenes at the funeral. And it really is a shame that such things would happen. But they did happen. Let's just watch a video of the funeral, at the funeral. Just pause it there for a minute. The gentleman on the center there is Job Sikala. And this is at the funeral, where in the background what are believed to be Chamisa supporters wearing their new colors of blue. And there seemed to be a commotion behind it. Let's just watch the video to the end. It's tragic. Job Sikala himself was literally chased away soon after the burial by the Nelson Chamisa supporters. It is a crying shame that the opposition have been all these years fighting to end the ZANU-PF dictatorship, only for them to become no different from ZANU-PF. This scene is what would expect ZANU-PF thugs to do. They rely on intimidation, bullying, forcing people to do whatever they want, imposing themselves and their will. And the opposition is supposed to be fighting to end all that. And yet here we are. They're doing exactly the same thing. I think it is one of the crying shame of Zimbabwe that we are incapable of ruling ourselves. That chaos seems to follow us like our shadow. We live in the 21st century, where the rest, or the majority of mankind, have benefited from human civilization, centuries of human civilization, that has allowed them to do wonderful things. Some nations have sent men to the moon and see them come back to Earth again. They are now exploring deep into space, far beyond our own solar system. And at home, the technological advance has allowed them to do the most delicate operation on one of the most delicate organs on the human body, the brain. And we seem to be stuck in the Stone Age mentality, untouched by modernity. It is no wonder that Zimbabwe is a failed state. Basic services like health, education, basic infrastructure like roads and so forth are all in a sorry, dilapidated state. After 43 years of gross mismanagement and rampant corruption by the ruling parties and ZANU-PF. And we seem to be totally helpless as what to do. We don't know what to do. It's absolutely amazing. How could we not know what to do? And yet, that's the truth. Zimbabwe is in this sorry state because we failed to govern ourselves. Chaos and ignorance and confusion seems to be the norm for us. What's to be done? I believe the solution is that we need somebody who will grab this nation by the scruff of the neck and shake us out of our slothful slumber, or this nation is doomed. 43 years after independence, and we still cannot hold free, fair, and credible elections. Many of us, many people out there, don't even know what constitutes free, fair, and credible elections. ZANU-PF rigged the 2023 elections because we had failed to implement reforms to make sure that elections are free, fair, and credible. It's not rocket science, and yet we failed to do it. It is, whether we like it or not, we are now independent. We are now masters of our own destiny. And if we cannot define that destiny ourselves, then we are doomed. Nobody is going to solve this problem for us. We have to solve it ourselves. I hope you'll join us tomorrow, 6 o'clock UK time, 8 o'clock Zimbabwe time. Tomorrow, I would like to tackle the issue of, is somebody who criticizes or holds Chamisa and Triple C, MDC, to account for selling out on the democratic reforms, is that person aiding and abetting the ZANU-PF dictatorship? I hope you can join us tomorrow. Thank you very much for listening, and good night.